Hi, I'm Christy Thigpen, and I'm here with Miss Bruno for my EDU 585 class at Georgetown College under the leadership of Dr. Brody. And we're going to be discussing the cultural environment of this particular elementary school in Central Kentucky, and look at their ESL program a little bit, and just talk about ways that we can benefit our students and make improvements. So I would like to start out by thanking you for joining me today.
Yes.
It is the day before spring break, just for the audience, so everybody's a little stressed, and 8 hours to countdown. So
Right.
I appreciate her taking the time to meet with me. So I'd like to start out just by going over and sharing with you, I'm really super excited about this new program that our district is going to be providing to our admin. And oh, let me back up.
Okay.
Oh, would you like to tell the camera your role here? I should have done that first before I jump into content, your role, and how long you've been here.
Okay, so this is my second year, and I am the PGS coach.
Okay, and for any what an audience who doesn't know, what
it's similar to an assistant principal. I'm an instructional coach, but also like CAF administrator.
Okay.
So I work mainly with teachers and the principal to move our school forward.
Awesome. Okay, back to content.
Yeah.
So I wanted to share with you the elevation program that we're going to be using in our district next year. I'm super excited about it because it's such teacher-friendly, user-friendly. It provides so much information on one-page documents.
Okay, great.
We know how valuable our teachers' time is,
Yes.
and any information we can provide them to help our students quickly and easy access is going to help us move them forward.
Great.
So I was going to start by sharing with you just a glance of what the dashboard looks like, and talk about the demographics of this particular school. So in the ELL program here, we have 92 students who are getting indirect services, 80 who are direct, 51 who are being monitored, 9 who have fully exited, and 2 that are pending. And the largest population here is Hispanic, but we also have other languages present. So you can see this pie chart where there's a small population of Swahili, Arabic, and Lingala.
Yes.
So, but most of it is Hispanic population.
Yes.
So, and you can also see that you guys have a huge population who are not ELL students. So the breakdown shows you ELL versus non-ELL, who are also these native languages. So I thought that was kind of interesting to see. So we have 169 Hispanic speakers who are in the program, and 59 who are not.
And so these are like RFP students, the 59?
No, these are students who are not in the program.
At all, have never been.
Right, at all, have never been. But Spanish is their home language, so reported as their home language. So I just thought the pie graph and to be able to access that so quickly was really interesting information. So, okay. I wanted to start out by talking about some things in your community that you may or may not know about. I do want to state that I am fairly new to our city. I moved here last August. So in these courses that I'm taking, I have learned a lot about our town. And so you may be aware of these resources.
Right. Well, I just moved. Actually, this is just my second year.
So
I'm in the same boat.
Okay. Well, we have the Hope Center, and I looked it up recently, and it's within a 5-mile radius from here.
Yes.
So we have a bilingual coordinator over there in charge of the Hispanic program. And these are resources more for the families, and then we'll get into talking about the students and the school resources.
Gotcha.
So these are really for parents who come in.
Our family resources coordinator.
And that's what I was going to suggest.
Sorry.
That's great that you already know that and can utilize that information. So their program there can help parents find jobs.
Great.
If they have immigration issues. They also offer ESL courses and all kinds of counseling services, which might be difficult or hard to find for non-English speaking families.
Right.
So,
okay, great.
Our public libraries, I was impressed with
awesome.
how many resources are here, and for free.
Yes.
They offer GED classes in Spanish, citizenship classes, which I'm sure are utilized a great deal, ESL classes as well, and then of course free internet and printed and digital resources in several languages.
Yes. We do utilize the Village Branch Library.
That's awesome.
A lot because they're a great partner.
Okay. And then of course if you do you have many refugees in your population?
Not, we did last year,
Okay.
but because of redistricting that has changed.
Okay, so in the event that you were to have some come in, and most of the time when they come in, they already have the Kentucky Refugee Ministries resources, because that's how they got here.
Right.
But they do offer all kinds of types of services, including the classes and stuff the library does, and housing and court or law services as well.
Okay.
So I would like to know, because, well, you've been here a little longer than me, if you know of any community resources that I didn't mention that you guys tap into. Like, are there, I do know someone in their survey or interview that I did with some of the teachers mentioned there's a church affiliation, a back to school.
Oh, yes. Garden
do.
Springs. Oh, gosh.
It's okay.
Christian Church.
It's
They're
okay
just
that you
right
don't know
over
the
here.
name.
They help a lot. I'm trying to think. I can't think of anything else. There's one church, and it's Episcopalian church. They provide food once a week for some of our kids, like a backpack program.
A backpack program. Awesome. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Any?
I can't think of
That's
anything.
okay. That's okay. And maybe if I talk to your
FRC.
Yes, they would probably have more information for me.
Yes.
So I will do that.
Yeah.
Okay. I have heard wonderful things that your school is already doing for your student population that's involving parents. So like the 5th grade entrepreneur event,
it's a lot of fun.
And the Wax Museum, and your 2nd graders Native American Museum.
Yes.
I would love to see more grades and more opportunities within the building. So maybe some conversations can take place with your staff and see how we can promote all languages and not just the main ones. But I love the entrepreneur fair because parents get to be involved and come in. So
and every once a month, especially because we're a Title I school, we have a family event. Like last night, we had an art walk, and so every student had art that was framed, and then we had art throughout the building that was displayed on bulletin boards, and then parents could purchase the framed art.
Oh, okay.
So it's somewhat of a fundraiser, but still it was neat to have a lot of parents just come in and look at the kids.
So you had a good turnout?
Yes.
Okay.
We did.
Yeah, and we'll talk about one of your CSIP goals involving parent attendance and involvement later. I want to know more about the coffee talks that I've heard so much about.
Yeah.
I almost want to, I'm going to steal it from you.
Oh, yeah.
For my buildings, I kind of want to model, but I want to hear from your perspective since you're kind of in charge of that, what you do and how you decide the topics.
Yeah.
And,
well, that's always tricky.
Okay.
But once a month, it's on the 2nd Wednesday in the morning. We have Starbucks that donates coffee, and then I make some muffins or bread or whatever. And it's just open to all parents because our family nights, there's not a lot of conversation. I feel like that goes with the families. It's just let's display or let's do something fun.
Okay.
But I really wanted to provide a time for parents to just express concerns or ask questions, and for us to be able to communicate to them, like, this is the way that we do school, these are our expectations. So it started last year around this time. I was really hoping that a lot of our Hispanic families would come. Of course, it's open to anybody.
Right.
But we have a lot of families that walk their kids in the morning, and so it's nice just to be able to grab them, say, hey, coffee and muffins for free, just sit down for 30 minutes. And we usually have like a 10-15 minute talk about a topic, like testing or report cards. And then we just take questions. And then that's, I think, where just the good stuff happens. Because they have some really good questions that we've never thought about, or they'll bring up some concerns that maybe we didn't know. And so it provides just a time for us to talk. And what's neat is that it's now like about 10 families that are regulars, and their moms. Yeah. And sometimes they bring their kids. Every once in a while there's a dad.
Right.
But it's just neat because they end up having some of the same concerns. One time we talked about appropriate bedtimes. And they were like, but my kid is like fighting me on this bedtime. And we're like, we have kids too. We know. We totally understand. So it's been a neat way to build relationships with some of our families. As far as picking topics, it stems from either what's going on or what's coming up. So, for example, last year we just sent out our Tier 2 or intervention reports, our progress reports in the report card. And so I knew, okay, we're going to need to talk about the interventions that we have. And thankfully, a mom had actually brought the report card with the intervention plan, and she was like, I don't know what this is. I'm like, well, that's what we're talking about today.
Awesome. Yeah.
And then a lot of times I'll ask at the very end, what do you all want to know about or talk about next time? And I mean, sometimes they'll have some great ideas, and sometimes they're like, I don't know. But I feel like every time we have it, they're very appreciative of even just the time and time that they have, with us.
Do you bring in interpreters?
Yes, always. I mean, good God, because I don't know what I would do. And we're grateful to have some staff who are bilingual. That if we don't have an interpreter, then I can always pull somebody. And our FRC coordinator is bilingual, so she's kind of taken that over this year, so we don't have to pay somebody. And then the Village Branch Library. Every once in a while, I'll invite them to talk about their programs, and they also translate.
That's great. How do you get the information to the families that you're having those? Do you send out a newsletter, or?
We send out a flyer.
Okay.
And then I always have something on Facebook.
Okay.
And we just always have to make sure, that everything's translated.
Right. Okay.
And now it's gotten to the point where we'll have families that'll call and ask, when's the next coffee talk?
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's going really well.
Yes.
Yes. So you're already doing everything, but I wanted to share with you this book that we were able to read of this course. It's called Explain This to Me, Our School, a Practical Spanish-English Bilingual Guide for Teachers by Crystal Brody, or Dr. Brody. She's our professor, but the book is phenomenal, and it fits your purpose of Coffee Talks perfectly. So, for example, if it's already in Spanish, but we can get it in other languages. And it was not expensive, and it's very reader-friendly for parents. So it has all the topics that we may not think about, like open house or parent-teacher conferences, but even birthdays, allergies and the do's and don'ts of American school system that the culture might be different. And so I think it's phenomenal. So it's very, you can read it in an hour kind of thing. Yeah. So it just gives a little blurb about each topic, and then it's translated into Spanish.
Oh, that's nice.
Already.
Yes.
So this is a great start.
Yeah, no, that's great.
And you'll have to tweak it to fit your population and your building needs, because some things may or may not apply to you guys here, of course. But I thought the attendance section was excellent, explaining why you can and can't keep your child at home in the U.S.
Yeah,
and that's
crazy.
Not knowing,
and
understand, because their culture is different about working or taking care of a family member is the priority in different cultures. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so
that'll be great. Thank you.
Legal issues as well.
Yes.
So I will leave that with you.
Oh, nice.
And if you want other languages, and it's Amazon is where I got it. So
great.
It's available. Okay, we're going to move into the next topic now. It's called, it's about your school report card. Okay. So I know that can sometimes be a sore subject and not paint a completely accurate picture, but as of the last one, this school is a needs improvement school.
We are.
And so I want to focus on the positive spin of that. I heard a rumor that you guys had started an ELL task force. And maybe into part of the reaction to the school report card, just to help close the achievement gap. So can you explain that to me a little bit and its purpose?
Yeah. So I'm trying to think. Over the past 10 years, the population at our school has changed significantly. And every year our ELL population grows. And what we were finding is that there wasn't a conversation about how our instruction is changing to meet our new students' needs. And so I went to a conference last fall, and it was about closing the achievement gap for Hispanic students. And on the plane ride home, we just decided, we have to really be very mindful of the students that we're teaching, and we cannot put the responsibility on our ELL teachers because they're only in there for 30 minutes to an hour. Our homeroom teachers really have to understand that they are also ELL teachers.
Right.
And so we started the ELL task force. We also went through the, I can't remember the exact name, it's initial training.
Oh, yes.
For English language learners. And we had to create an action plan. And so that's the conference and then the NISL training. We realized we need to meet monthly. So we now have homeroom teachers, all of our ELL teachers and administration, and anybody else. We opened it to anybody on staff. We meet once a month. We look at student data and look at how our ELL students are performing when you compare them to our non-ELL students. And then what are some things that we can do to really tighten up our instruction to make sure that we're closing that gap. And we realize that our teachers need strategies to use just throughout the day. And we're now a PSYOP school, but last year during faculty meetings twice a month, we had our ELL teachers stand up and share a strategy. And then we waited 2 weeks. Teachers were expected to try out the strategy, and then they would share out in the faculty meeting, well, this worked, or I really like this, or I need help with this. And plus, we wanted our teachers to see our ELL teachers as experts, that are a resource that they can go to. Yes. And so this year it's changed a little bit now that we are a PSYOP school, but we're still meeting and looking at data. And
do you think it's helping to raise awareness? And
yes,
I mean, like
definitely,
and making them more aware of that ELL population and servicing those needs.
Yes,
okay.
I think so. We're having a lot more conversations. I think teachers are trying more things, and it's neat to see in our PLC meetings that teachers are asking specific questions to the ELL staff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we know it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
But you're making the steps to get there. So
right.
that is phenomenal. The other thing I did to try to look at your school was in order to get a full picture, I needed voice from the teachers, of course, because they're in the trenches, so to speak.
Yes.
So I conducted a teacher survey, and I was thankful for getting 30 of the 47 responses.
Okay, good.
So 96, I asked them about how they felt about their admin support and their district support, because I really think their perception of, do they have my back, and is this a priority in our building, is it important to get an accurate picture of the building.
Right.
So 96% reported they thought the admin was doing adequate or exemplary in supporting for ESL. So I thought that was a really strong number. 33, so about a third, did report that they felt the district level needed a little improvement for our support, but I know that's really hard when we have 35 or well, really more, but the 35 elementary schools in our district.
And I will say, thinking about that, the district support person that we do have from ELL, she meets with me regularly, and I think that's probably just not communicated.
Okay.
And whenever we need her to, she meets with our PLC teams.
So maybe they're just not aware of what's happening behind closed doors, right?
I think so. And whenever I have a question, I go right to her and she responds. So we probably just need to do a better job of communicating that to the staff.
So that they're realizing that you do have that support, and they could come to you, to her, through the proper, the channels.
Right.
So.
I doubt that this 96% would be very high if we did not have that district support.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was my quick question. Was going to ask how you felt about it, so you already answered that. Yeah. And then I asked them about professional development, and I gave them some ESL topics that we learned in our coursework through the last several classes. And so the top 3, I basically asked them, what did they need?
Yes.
What do they see that they need help with in the classroom? And the top 3 results were PSYOP, differentiated instruction based on language proficiency levels, and family communication and involvement. Yes. So I thought that was interesting that the family was on there.
Yes.
So I have some ideas for that here shortly. So, and then the majority also wanted more time and collaboration for planning effective co-teaching. So I've heard that your model has changed this year, that you're one ELL teacher kind of per
grade level.
and they're doing a lot more push-in and collaborative teaching, or trying, and but that looks different at each grade level. And so, where do you see the co-teaching going, or how is it working, or are they still trying to figure it out? Do you think they're still trying to?
Yes. And we've realized that this year, just with our district support team, that we need more training on what co-teaching really looks like, that it's not just somebody coming in your room and doing a small group in the room.
Right.
Because it's not true co-teaching. So we definitely we realize that our teachers and staff need more training.
Okay. You probably are aware, because of your role, that the district offers co-teaching training, and
is this the CT?
Yes, this is the special. This is the and I'm going to talk to my ELL director and see if we can set up some co-teaching PD for ESL angled, because I think it looks a little different. So this is the special ed co-teaching model, and I don't know if you have this in your building or not, but I just wanted to give you the handout of some of the models, if you were or weren't familiar, and let you know that it is available to your teachers through the district, and I do think you can get it in your building, you know, arranging that through them, because I knew and had heard that co-teaching was not a struggle, but you know, something new for you guys.
Yes.
And
I think it was just kind of thrown on the staff.
I gotcha.
And they had a quick training a couple years ago. There hasn't been a good follow-up.
Yeah, and that's really important. So,
yeah.
Okay. All right, we're going to move into the CSIP next.
Okay.
So I pulled up your CSIP for the current year, and I love the fact that you had a goal for increasing parent involvement and the actual numbers were listed as 763 to 1,000 by 2020. So I'm not sure how you guys came up with that number, or if you based it on what your current attendance was, and then tried to multiply it by a certain amount. Is that what are you seeing? Is that have you taken data? I guess.
Well, we always do the sign-in sheets.
Okay, so
and that's where I know we got the 763.
Okay.
But I'm worried about I guess where we're going.
I got you.
It's hard. I will say communication. When there's the language barrier, it's huge, and we're having trouble just getting our newsletters translated, and then just getting word out to parents in time, to make plans.
Okay. Have you utilized the language line that our district?
You know what? No.
Okay.
I'll just be real with you.
Okay.
We haven't. And we need to. I finally shared it with our guidance counselor, and she loves it.
Okay.
And I have used it several times, but as far as introducing that to the staff, we have not, and we need to.
I think, now I haven't personally done it, but I will definitely look into it and send you the information if we can do a mass call with a language line.
Oh, that would be great.
How phenomenal would it be to call all 200 parents with one call in their language about your upcoming event?
Can you do that?
I'm going to look. I'm going to definitely find out, because I know we are able to do it with our regular system.
Yes.
And so, and if we don't have it, maybe we could definitely request and advocate and push for it, because I think that would be a huge need and a really easy thing to add and to help our families with communication. The second CSIP goal that you guys have was increasing diverse recruitment. And just this past week, I don't know if you're aware, our district was in Puerto Rico recruiting. I think it was in the board minutes or something I read earlier in the week. Do you know of anything that you guys try to do on the admin when you're doing interviews, or do you go through any organizations or utilize anybody to try to bring in diverse staff?
No, well, through Apple Track, that's one of the first things that we look at.
Okay.
Just to make sure that it is something that we don't miss.
Okay.
So when interviewing or setting up interviews, that's one of the first things that we look at. And then, of course, we look through qualifications and the resume. But I mean, I don't know what else to do.
Okay. I got you. Well, that's a good start, I think. And I think I'm glad to see our district making an effort.
Yes.
Because if they can bring people in.
Definitely.
Hopefully they'll expand beyond Hispanic, the way our city and our communities are growing, to include more than just that
Right.
Hispanic recruitment, but it's a good start.
Well, and it's hard too.
Yes.
I mean, in Lexington, like people, I love Lexington, but people are Central Kentucky. So
It's okay.
But people just don't move here. I mean,
I
coming
see what you
from
mean.
Nashville, it was really easy because it was a really diverse city anyway,
Okay.
and then people wanted to move there just to be in the city.
I see.
Where now it's Lexington. I mean, we love it, but
Right.
I don't know if it draws a lot of people in.
Well, we do have a lot of big businesses, corporations like Lexmark and the Toyota up north, a little bit from us, and so hopefully, we'll continue to grow and bring in more diversity, add to our city. So.
Yes.
Okay, so finally, well, before I get into the suggestions, do you have any questions that you can think about for me or that I haven't covered yet before I get into the suggestions that I found from the research? So.
No.
Okay. All right, so my first suggestion
Okay.
was to definitely continue the coffee
Yes.
talks, and
Yeah.
we're so stealing.
Yeah.
So I think that's phenomenal effort on your guys' part, and that you you went out into the community, you found the resources, you're making the efforts. I do want to find out definitely how to mass call your population, because I think that would be a great way to get more numbers in for you guys and help with that involvement. So I did have one slight twist on the coffee talk. Have you ever considered having a parent lead the coffee talk, or like a parent inform the parents? So like maybe I know you guys are K-5, so maybe a 5th grade parent who's been here come in and share their experience, and maybe because it would give you a different perspective on maybe on things that we haven't thought about from the school view, or even your older students. How phenomenal would it be to have your older kids come in and share from a kid point of view how they've gone through the process of coming to your school. So there's just something to think about, to involve your parents more, and to definitely validate their input and their contribution that they can make to your community. So
it's a great idea.
Just a twist, and even if it's not every meeting, maybe do a couple quarterly for them. So and I bet you would have parents volunteer or would be excited to share with you. So
that's a great idea.
Okay. We've already talked about the translation. I learned yesterday.
Yes.
Did you guys? Well, you probably know because you're on the admin end. $35 a page.
Yes, it's ridiculous.
I was floored by this number, and that our district spent $50,000 between August and October last year for translation services and interpreters alone.
I mean, it makes me angry.
I was like, wow, of the expense, and with our technology and the age we're in, I cannot believe it's still that expensive. So
well, and it's frustrating to me, the population that we serve, while we are not provided a full-time translator. I mean, to translate newsletters or, phone calls, and I know we have the language line, but it is very impersonal.
Yes,
and it's hard on the phone.
Right.
Especially when you have a sensitive issue to discuss with a parent.
That's so true.
So, so we have talked about using some of our money to hire.
To pay for that service.
Yeah, even part-time. But to me, when we're serving our population, it should not come out of school funds.
Right. Yes, I know. It's hard.
I get a little angry.
Okay, right. All right. The next one was, of course, the PD about effective co-teaching.
Yes.
And so I already shared with you what's available at the district, and I will push and advocate. I just met with her yesterday about offering this and from an ELL perspective. I think that would be important.
That's key.
And so that they don't think, that's what they do for special ed. We don't need to do that. So I want them to see how that would look and treat your ESL teachers as an equal in the classroom and not as a para. Some of the feedback, a couple negative comments, about, I can make copies, or they don't need me, they have a para already. And that's a sad situation. So there were 4, see if I included them on here. And maybe they're and I could send them to you if I don't have them in front of me. 4 key pieces for effective co-teaching, and I do not have them in front of me, but I will definitely send those to you.
Okay.
Here it is. So collaboration should be voluntary, and I thought this one was huge. So I know you guys we're in staffing mode right now and planning for next year. So I know volunteering is not always an option, but how great would it be if you guys just polled your staff and said, are you willing and open to collaborate, full, true co-teaching with an ESL teacher, your content teacher. So I know that's not always can happen. Yes. But the more that you can, give them the choice, they're going to buy in, and it'll be more effective. So maybe something to consider, or maybe just a little short survey, or get feedback from them, the ones that have experienced it this year, or maybe some that haven't, or your new staff that come in. It's always a great time to grab them up and train them the way you want them to go. And then a shared common goal is the second piece. So I think improving language through content, of course, is our goal. But to make sure that everybody understands that, like you mentioned earlier, they are language teachers as well. And sometimes just that mindset and changing that awareness piece is huge.
Yeah,
so,
that's good.
The third piece is shared responsibility in all areas of teaching. So that comes into making the co-planning time together very valuable in the master schedule. And I know it's not always easy. It's like a big jigsaw puzzle trying to get everybody where they need. But those teams that you're going to put together for next year really try to value and set aside designated uninterrupted time. This will not be meeting time. This will not be running copies time. This is your time together that you need to utilize. And if the coach comes in, especially at the beginning, to support that, because I'm a coach as well, so I think having that accountability piece in those discussions and making sure it's running before you leave them independent, if you will. I hate to say that teachers need that, but they do, especially at the beginning if something's new for them. So, and the fourth one is the huge one for me, is shared accountability for the. I look at this as our kids' mentality instead of your kids, my kids. And if we can get every teacher on that board, I think we could see some phenomenal things in our schools. So our kids. And so that's just maybe a motto to take forward and kind of use that in your PDs and your when you're presenting information to them. They really need to see it's not ELL teachers' kids versus our kids. So, and one of the last ones, of course, is to add on to PSYOP, which I know you have some teachers in your building who've already been trained, which I think is phenomenal. And if you can get some content teachers trained, you may or have already done this, and utilize them too, so that it's not always the ELL teacher coming at them, so that they could share some videotaping of some successes as models, or going in to peer observe each other. And then I brought you, I know some of you already have this, but this is the making content comprehensible for elementary teachers, and it's a PSYOP model, but it also has the digital access. I think I haven't opened it, but I want you to donate that to you guys so that you can have a resource in your library that's not your annotated copy that you can loan out or utilize for teachers when they have questions.
So is this really different from?
It's the same. I believe it's the same text. It's the most recent edition, but the online piece, I think you have access to some of the training videos and some other pieces that you wouldn't have with just the digital book.
Awesome.
So
great. Thank
the
you.
code, I believe, is in that flyer that's attached. So
thank you.
Okay, so we've gone over this. Oh, I have one more thing I'm really excited about. Okay, so I did some shopping. So I love to shop. It helps you. So I have a kindergartner myself. So this book is called Children Just Like Me, and it has multiple authors. But in the it's 44 kids around the world, and so I wanted you to just see a picture and how kid friendly it is. So I just want to show the camera an example. So it goes through different cultures and different places in the world, and goes through some of their language and their food and their housing. And if you had a kid come in from, say, we just got a student from Nepal last week.
Oh, wow.
How great would it be just to flip to it? Look, and share with the students.
Right.
So this is really for the kids. We have a lot of things we can do for the adults for culture. Are you ready? Recording. Okay, so we're back. Sorry for the interruption. So one quick strategy I do want to leave with you, because I love takeaways when I talk to somebody or go to PD, and this is one that I have personally used and seen used, and I think it works great for ELL students and all students. And the purpose really is to promote HOTS, or higher order thinking skills, because I feel like sometimes our content teachers forget the rigor, maintaining that rigor, and we really want to keep our kids high and
Yes.
have those high expectations.
Exactly.
And know that they can do a lot. And so they forget that sometimes with the language barrier.
Right.
So this is using visuals,
Okay.
and any content can take it and run with it.
Okay.
And so it just includes the 3 questions the teachers are allowed to ask. They
Okay.
cannot make judgment. They cannot add to it. They cannot. They are the only allowed to paraphrase only if absolutely necessary. It's supposed to stay in the kid language, and the students build on each other's comments.
Oh, that's great.
So what's going on in the picture? What do you see that makes you say that? Using evidence.
Yes.
Our Common Core standards.
Yep.
And then what more can you or we find? And the teacher is not to validate or take away from any answer, which gives the students power of voice.
That's great.
So there's to remain neutral and then link anything to each other. So if one kid comments, they're to help them link. Use text talks is another strategy you may be familiar with. We had some training on that last year. And then close by thanking the group for participation.
Oh, okay.
So this one is a very, very easy.
Yeah. Awesome.
That I think teachers would really like after they try it.
Yes.
So the final thing is I wanted to give you my blog, my personal blog link.
Okay.
Because I do try really hard to make it content teacher oriented.
Oh, great.
And there's a PSYOP section.
Awesome.
Because we are,
good deal.
we're in the rollout, and because I work for the district, even though I'm in schools, I've had additional PSYOP training, and we're going back to Cal in May, and we're going to be writing our own training program. So I'm super
very cool.
excited.
Yeah.
Don't know if I'm supposed to let that out of the bag yet, but it will be coming.
Awesome.
And I also included Dr. Brody's blogs because she's the expert and been doing this so much longer than me, and she has a gazillion. I can't even name all the resources that she has. So I gave you her links. And then one of my favorite finds for this semester was a find called Cultural Crossing.
Okay.
And I will send these to you in an email as well, because I know it's not really useful on paper.
That's okay.
But it's very teacher friendly.
Okay.
So if you get a student in, like I did on Monday, from Nepal, it's the whole world. You click on the country, it gives you all the taboos, the eye contact, their school system, their personal space, their timing, and the taboos of their culture.
Yeah.
It gives you a really fast glance, and I want to try, check with my students to see how valid, but I think it's a pretty reliable information.
Great.
And I was super excited about it because I don't know all about the whole world.
Right.
And so this is very teacher friendly.
Awesome.
So that was one of my favorites, and it's on my blog. So
good deal.
Wanted to share that with you
Thank
under
you.
the culture category. And then finally, this is a awareness piece. If the world were a village of 1,000 people, it gives a breakdown of what it would look like.
Wow.
And so this is a easy eye opener. Perhaps to help with that staff piece, since you're in a PD role. So and this is by Donna Meadows, and I wanted you to have a copy of that as well. And I will send all of this to you electronically, but I wanted to hand you a printed copy today.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
I want to thank you so much for taking out
you.
Friday's slot before spring break to meet with me.
This is great, and you offered a lot of really good suggestions that I think will help us push our kids forward.
I hope so.
Yeah,
That was the goal. So thank you.
Yeah.
All right.